Reading from Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam, the king of all literatures. This is Canto 10, Chapter 24, text number 8. śrī-nanda uvāca parjanyo bhagavān indro parjanyo bhagavān indro meghās tasyātma-mūrtayaḥ te bhivarṣanti bhūtānāṁ prīṇanaṁ jīvanaṁ payaḥ. Others. śrī-nanda parjanyo bhagavān indro meghās tasyātma-mūrtayaḥ te bhivarṣanti bhūtānāṁ prīṇanaṁ jīvanaṁ payaḥ. śrī-nanda uvāca parjanyo bhagavān indro meghās tasyātma-mūrtayaḥ te bhivarṣanti bhūtānāṁ prīṇanaṁ jīvanaṁ payaḥ. śrī-nanda uvāca. Sri Nanda Mahārāja said, parjanyo, the rain, bhagavān, the great Lord, Indra, meghās, the clouds, tasyātma, his, atma-mūrtayaḥ, personal representatives, te, they, bhivarṣanti, directly give rain, bhūtānāṁ, for all living entities, prīṇanaṁ, the satisfaction, jīvanaṁ, the life-giving force, payaḥ, like milk. Nanda Mahārāja replied, the great Lord Indra is a controller of the rain. The clouds are his personal representatives and they directly provide rainwater, which gives happiness and sustenance to all creatures. Please repeat. Nanda Mahārāja replied, the great Indra is a controller of the rain. The clouds are his personal representatives, and they directly provide rainwater, which gives happiness and sustenance to all creatures. BBT Purport. Without clean rainwater, the earth could not possibly provide food or drink for anyone, nor could there be cleanliness. Thus, it would be difficult to overestimate the value of rain. Goragraganyaganagotagalodharam Goranga-gura-tama-gopyara-kolpa-vriksham Gopalagadaratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshikavaram Satatam Namami. Śrīla Sanatana Goswami in his Krishna Lila Stava, he says, Mat Eka Bandho Mat Sangyan. I only have one friend. He has his brother, he has his nephew, he has all the bridges, but he says, I only have one friend. Srimad Bhagavatam. But this friend, Srimad Bhagavatam, like a good friend, we should be attentive to, and we should listen carefully. And the Bhagavatam may say different things to us. Because prati shloki, prati akshari, nanarthakoi, every verse, every word, every syllable of Srimad Bhagavatam has unlimited meaning. So I have to confess that when I read this verse in purport, I thought, it doesn't seem like very much to speak about. But then I started contemplating the context of it, and perhaps some of the subtle points which are made in the verse. Nanda Mahārāja is speaking, and the first thing he says is parjanyo, bhagavān indro. He addresses Indra as bhagavān, and he uses the word parjanyo. Parjanyo has a number of different meanings, and in his commentary in this verse, Baladevi Vibhushan, he says that it comes from the verbal datu, prish, to sprinkle. And that's the business of the rain. Parjanyo also is a name for rain. It's a name for Indra, who gives rain. But it's also a name for someone else, who I think Nanda Mahārāja would probably immediately think of when it's a name for his father, Parjanyo Mahārāja. So parjanyo bhagavān indro meghās tasyātma-mūrtayaḥ, that the clouds are his personal representatives, te bhivarṣanti bhūtānāṁ. He's freely giving this rain to all living entities, prīṇanaṁ, jīvanaṁ, payaḥ, which is just like milk, and it's giving everyone satisfaction and sustenance. And in the BBT Purport, it makes the point that this rainwater is clean rainwater. So earlier in the Bhagavatam, in the 14th chapter of the 10th canto, it's described, indro bhagavata dattam trilokya śrīyam urjitam bhunjana pati lokam strim kamams loki pravarshati. That Indra, he maintains all the living entities. He's doing this bhunjana pati. He's enjoying nourishing everyone by giving them sufficient rain. But he's doing that on behalf of the Supreme Lord, and he's doing it on the Supreme Lord's strength, because the Lord is śrī-nanda, and it's only by the potency of the sun that the water evaporates from this world and goes into the clouds for Indra. So later in the same chapter, Krishna is going to speak about the qualities of the megha, the clouds, and he says, megha, bhivarṣanti bhūni sarvata. This is the first quality that he speaks about, is that the rain clouds, they pour down water everywhere. Prajastaya eva siddhyanti mahendra kim karishyati. He says, what has Indra got to do with this? So, Jai Shishirada. Again, in the context of this whole discussion, we're hearing about a great devotee, Indra, the face of the Lord's administration in the universe, who's been deputed by the Lord to preserve Dharma, to give rain, to nourish people, and is giving rain. This is the function of leaders, to give nourishment, to shower down attention, and to help others. But Indra has developed this quality of pride that he doesn't see where he's getting the strength from. He's forgotten. And therefore, Purna Mushika Bhava, he again becomes a mouse. So if we contemplate the subject matter from this verse in purport, we can see there are three qualities that I see here, maybe more, of rain. Poshakatva. Poshakatva means that rainfall has a quality of nourishment. The second quality is sudattva, that is pure. We get water from the clouds, that water is very pure. The third quality is datritva, that it just freely distributed everywhere, regardless of qualification. So this first quality these are three qualities which Indra is doing on behalf of the Lord, and which all managers, all leaders, all devotees of the Lord are doing. This is everyone's work. And therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in the beginning of his prayers to Sri Guru, he establishes this point first: samsara davanala lita loka. That the Gurudev is like a cloud. And the cloud has these three qualities: poshatva, sudatva, datritva. It nourishes everyone, it is pure, and it distributes freely. So these are three qualities which come from the Lord, three qualities which the devotees and the managers are doing on behalf of the Lord. And Krishna himself comes to do this as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And therefore he's known as Vishvambar. And in the Rig Veda, also the Lord is described as Vishvambar. It said there, Vishvambara Vishvenama Bharasapahi Swaha, that my Lord, please preserve me by sustaining the universe. Vishvambar is a maintainer of the universe. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has two different Leelas, Pratama Leela Yatandra Vishvambara Nam. And the Pratam Leela, the beginning Leela, is that he's Vishvambar, Bhakti Rasa Bharila Dharila Bhuta Gram. And he's nourishing the universe. How is he nourishing the universe? Because he's flooding the whole universe, Bhakti Rasa Bharila Dharila Bhuta Gram, with Krishna Prem. And Kaviraj Goswami, that's from Adila chapter 3, and then he goes on to explain Dubran Dhatu Artha, that the Dhatu, or the root of the word Vishvambar, is Dubran. Dubran Dhatu Artha Poshana Dharana. And it has two functions, Poshana and Dharana. Pushila Dhadila Prema Diya Tribhuvanam. That it nourishes and it maintains. And so this is the business of Krishna. This is the business of his representatives. They want to nourish and maintain all living entities. And this is what Indra is supposed to be doing. But he's not doing it because, as my Guru Maharaj would comment, that Sri Guru is just like a pipe. And the water is coming through the pipe. And everything is functioning very nice. But if the pipe thinks, I'm the source of the water, it's a big problem. So Indra is like a pipe for water, literally. But when he starts thinking that I'm the source of the water, then everything is spoiled. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Vishvambar because he's like a cloud. He's nourishing and maintaining all the three worlds by giving Krishna prem. And this is, if we contemplate on the matter, this is also the meaning of our Gora Gayatri mantra. We're meditating on Vishvambaraya, how the Lord, Dhimahi, he's nourishing the entire universe. So the devotees are also having those qualities. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the last chapter of the Madhya Lila, there's a beautiful description about Mahaprabhu's prema, distribution of Krishna prem through his devotees. And Kaviraj Goswami describes it. is to give the rain. But that's not his only function. He has to collect that rain. And that's done by the mercy of the Lord, by the mercy of Suryadev. So in the same way, the devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kaviraj Goswami says, Sadhu Mahanta Meghās, that those sadhus and mahants, they're compared to the clouds, mega. And their business, amrita anukshan, anukshan means constantly, that they're supposed to constantly take this amrit, and they're supposed to distribute it. This is the function of the devotees. Vishvajani Kori Marishan. They do this all over the universe. This is the garden of the universe, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's garden. Tate Fali Amritafo, Bhakta Kaya Nirantar. And those devotees, Bhakta Kaya. Kaya is an interesting word in Bengali. If you, Hare Krishna, if you eat, if you drink, if you smoke a cigarette, it's all Kaya. you take that thing. Bhakta Kaya Nirantar. And the devotees are constantly, Tate Fale Amrita Fale, they're constantly taking this nectar, Tate Seshi Jiva Jagajan. And then after they're eating that, they share that with the general populace. So this is parjanyo bhagavān, indro meghās tasyātma-mūrtayaḥ. Indra is doing this function, and the verse is describing that those clouds are his personal representatives. This is a function of Guru, this is a function of Krishna, and his disciples are his personal representatives. And their function is to give this water by doing it in these three ways, with these three kind of qualities. That it nourishes everything, it's very pure, and it's freely distributed. And this is described in the 7th chapter of Madhya Lila. Kaviraj Goswami speaks about the mood of the Panchatattva, and therefore the mood of all the devotees. Patra patra vichar nahi nahi sthana sthana. Patra vichar nahi. When they were distributing this thing, they didn't consider who was a proper candidate, who was not a proper candidate, nahi stanistan, what was a proper place, what was not a proper place. So this is the quality that rain has, a datritva, the quality of free distribution to everyone. And Krishna will later make this point to his father, his Bappa. Why should we worship Indra just for rain? Rain falls on the ocean. It's not needed there. Sometimes it falls in the desert. It falls on rocks. Rain falls freely everywhere. And this is the same mood of distribution that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has as Vishwambar. He's nourishing the universe, and his followers are like rain clouds, gana ganadvam, and patra vichar nahi. Their consideration, they don't make a consideration. Uttama adama kichina bachila jachila dilekakar. They don't consider who's uttam, who's adam, who's qualified, who's not, who has an education from the university, who can pronounce Sanskrit properly, who can't, who has tattoos or who doesn't, who's a pure person, who's not. But patra vichar nahi nahi stanistan. That rainwater, ganat from the devotees, is just falling down freely everywhere. And this is a function of devotees. If they're not doing that, they're not performing properly. Srila Prabhupada speaks about this in Path of Perfection, the 3rd chapter. He says, in this material world, all conditioned souls are under illusion. A doctor treats all patients. And although a patient may be delirious and insult the doctor does not refuse to treat him. He still administers the medicine that is required. As Lord Jesus Christ said, we should hate the sin, not the sinner. That is a very nice statement, because the sinner is under illusion. He's mad. If we hate him, how can we deliver him? Therefore, those who are advanced devotees, who are really servants of God, do not hate anyone. When Lord Jesus Christ was being crucified, he said, "My God, forgive them. They know not what they do." This is the proper attitude of an advanced devotee. He understands that the conditioned souls cannot be hated because they've become mad due to their materialistic way of thinking. In this Krishna consciousness movement, there's no question of hating anyone. Everyone is welcome to come and chant Hare Krishna, take Krishna Prasad, listen to the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, and try to rectify material conditioned life. This is the essential program of Krishna consciousness. So, this is, again, the fault of Indra. Indra's becoming angry. We see in America now, in American politics, is Mr. Trump. He's angry with the blue states who didn't vote for him. And so he doesn't want to give them some of the rainwater. Literally speaking, doesn't want to give them water. And this is a fault of Indra. A good leader maintains all the praja. A devotee, like a leader, just gives freely to everyone. And they don't consider, even if someone comes and insults them, because this is their business. This is a business of the rain. We don't hate the rain if it pours down too much. The rain has no discrimination. It's simply giving to everyone. And so this is the quality of datritva. And the quality of sudatva is a very important quality also. In his Prem Bhakti Chandrika, Srila Narottam Das Thakur, he says that we should do bhajan, but we should do pure bhajan. And our bhajan should be like the rain. He says that. The devotee's bhajan should be pure, like the rainwater is pure. Karmi Gyani Micha Bhakta Nahoibe Toya Anurakta. And he says, look, don't be attached to the karmis. Oh, those demons, they're doing this and they're doing that. It's a karmi. Or the Gyanis, those mayavadis, they're so bad, they're this and that. And Srila Prabhupada was friends with Dr. Mishra. And he said he's a mayavadi. When Dr. Mishra, Guru Das recalls this, when Dr. Mishra left America and came to visit London, he came to visit Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada welcomed, my old friend, please take prasadam together. Prabhupada used to cook for him. He's a mayavadi. But Prabhupada's not attached to that. He's not seeing as a mayavadi. He hates the sin and not the sinner. He doesn't like the Mayavad philosophy, but persons, karmi gyani micha bhakta. And we see this in Krishna. Indra is a bit of a micha bhakta. In a way, he's a false devotee. He's acting as the king of the universe, but he's not being equal to everyone, which is what he's supposed to do. He's angry with the Brijbasis because they didn't worship him. Why should they worship him? His business is to collect worship on behalf of Krishna. As devotees, that's our business. We're meant not to collect worship or appreciation for ourselves, but we want to give that to Gurudev. We want to give that to Srila Prabhupada. We want to give that to Radha Golokananda. And then everything is so wonderful. But if we try to demand some respect for myself, hey, I'm a senior person. I know more verses. I'm this, I'm that. Then it creates such a problem. So in this Govardhan Dharana Leela, there's so many qualities of community. And Indra's in charge of things, but he's acting in a selfish proud kind of way, demanding respect. And Krishna sees that, and he wants to stop that worship. He wants to worship Giriraj. Giriraj is a real person who's doing dharana and poshana, who's nourishing and maintaining everyone in Vrindavan, which is the duty, the function of the devotees who are like rain clouds. And so then Indra tries to misuse his power. They're not giving proper respect to me, so I'm going to send this Samvarta cloud and I'm going to kill all of them, instead of doing his proper function. So he's a Micha Bhakta. He's a false devotee. But Nahoibe Toya Anurakta, don't be attached to that. And Krishna wasn't attached. My God. Indra tried to mass murder all the cows of Braj. His father, his mother, his uncles and aunts. He tried to mass murder all the cowherd boys, Sridham and Subal. Tried to mass murder all the gopis and Srimati Radharani. And when Indra realized, oh, I made a big mistake, he went to Lord Brahma. Can you help me? Lord Brahma said, this one's too much. And you should take Sarabi with you. So he took the Kamadhenu cow and went to see Krishna. And he owned what he did. And Krishna immediately said, that's okay, no problem. You're my representative, I forgive you. He wanted to smash the pride of Indra. Right? So we shouldn't be attached to personalities, karmi, gyani, micha, bhakta, nohoibe, toya, anurakta, sudha bhajanete koruman. Rather, we should do pure bhajan. In other words, indirectly what Narottam Das Thakur is saying is that if you're attached to the karmis, the gyanis, and the micha bhaktas, you're not doing sudha bhajan. You're doing something else. Talking about the COVID conspiracy and oh my God, and the government this thing and that thing. And maybe it's there, no doubt in this material world, but who cares? If it's not that thing, it's going to be some other thing. There's always something here. And the necessity is to take shelter of Krishna. And how do we do that? Braja Janara Jai Mata. Narottam says that we should understand what is the mata, the consideration, the mood of the Brijbasis. Tahi habe anugata. We want to be anugatya. We want to be following that mood. Ese paramatattvadan. This is the topmost wealth. This is what Krishna wants to give us. Malihana kori se bija rupana shravana kirtana jali kori sechana. So we want this rainwater, this shravanam kirtanam jali, this water of nectar, of the bhajan, of the Brijbasis, contemplating what they're doing. This is this Govardhan Dharna Leela. We want to hear from Nanda Mahārāja. We want to worship not parjanyo Indra, but parjanyo, the father of Nanda Mahārāja. He's the proper devotees, all the devotees. And so they're doing these three things. Right? The three things which Indra should be doing. Poshakatva, they're the quality of nourishment. Sudatva, they're having this quality of purity. And Datritva, the quality of distributing to everyone. But if that depends on our quality of purity, if we're seeing these persons are good, these other persons are bad, I like these persons because they speak Lithuanian, and these other people, they speak Russian, they're bad, then we can't represent the Lord. We can't freely give this nourishment. Prabhupada, in Krishna book in chapter 89, he makes an interesting comment. One sentence, he says, one's greatness has to be estimated by one's ability to tolerate provoking situations. One's greatness has to be estimated by one's ability to tolerate provoking situations. This is the quality of Krishna. And this is a quality that Indra doesn't have. And as soon as they don't give him respect, I am a senior person here. No, you should give proper respect to me. Everyone wants some respect, but we can't demand respect. As soon as we start demanding respect, then we become like a demon. And we'll hear in Jiva Goswami's Gopal Champu, he says that Indra wanted to mass murder all the Brijbasis. And then at one point, a yaksha showed up. And this yaksha came to Indra and said, "Oh, King Kamsa sent me to speak to you and said that he just wanted to let you know you're doing really good work. And he's showing solidarity with you. He's really good. Those bridgebāsis are really rascals. You should just mass murder all of them." And all of a sudden, Indra realized, what am I doing? Kamsa's supporting me, and I'm against the bridgebāsis. So devotees, they have to tolerate. They have to be forgiving. In the first 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, it said, "Kena chit bhikṣana gitam paribhutena durjanai smarata dritti yuktena vipakam nija karmanam." Once a certain sannyasi was insulted in many ways by impious men. However, with determination, he remembered that he was suffering a fruit of his own previous karma. I'll narrate to you his story and that which he spoke. In the BBT Purport, it's very beautiful. It says, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments as follows. "Often those who give up the materialistic path and devote themselves to renunciation are attacked by impious persons. This analysis, however, is superficial, since the punishment is actually the cumulative result of one's past karma. Some renunciates show a lack of tolerance when presented with the remnants of their previous sins, and thus are forced to enter again under the path of impious life." So we can apply this to Indra also. That Indra, he's given up materialism in the sense that he's dedicating himself to the Lord. He's gotten his position from the Lord. And sometimes then he's criticized. Or even in this case, he's not exactly criticized, but he's not given the respect that he feels that he's due. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says that's an artificial analysis because actually it comes from our own previous karma. And he says that some renunciates, like Indra, show a lack of tolerance when presented with the remnants of their previous sins, and thus are forced to enter again under the path of impious life, or the path of withdrawing rain from other persons, the path of judging other persons, who's qualified and who's not qualified. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to give mercy to them. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta goes on, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore instructs that one should become as tolerant as a tree. If a neophyte on the path of devotional service of the Lord's pure devotees is attacked by envious persons, he must accept it as a consequence of his previous fruitive activities. One should be intelligent and avoid future unhappiness by rejecting the ethic of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. If one refuses to enter into enmity with envious men, they'll automatically leave him alone. So devotees have to be tolerant, devotees have to be forgiving. This is a quality of the Brahmins. Parshuram's father, Jamadagni, after Parshuram killed Kartavirya Arjuna, Jamadagni told him, Vayam hi brahmanastata kshamayarhanatam gataha yaya lokaguru deva panamischam agat padam. He said, my dear son, Vayam hi brahmanastata, we're Brahmins. And we become worshipable for everyone because of the quality of kshama, of forgiveness. So this is a fault of Indra. Indra can't tolerate even someone not giving him respect. The bridgebāsis have not done anything against him. But he's ready to mass murder all of them. He becomes so angry. He says, and Jamadagni goes on to tell Parshuram, it's because of this quality of forgiveness that Lord Brahma received his post. He's the manager because he's forgiving. Krishna is forgiving of Indra. But we can't forgive the smallest thing. If someone takes a little prasadam which is put aside for us, if someone doesn't give us proper respect. And he goes on, Kshamaya rochate lakshmir brahmi sori yata prabha kshaminam asu bhagavāns tushyate hara ishvaraha. That this is a duty of a Brahmin. This is a duty of a devotee, to be forgiving. Can you imagine? If Govinda, he hits his mother, probably he's hit you a few times, probably he's passed urine on you and stool, probably he's vomited on you. But what if the mother's, how dare you? What did you do? And slaps him. You can't, the parent can't do that with the child. We have to be so very forgiving. But we can't treat other devotees like this, who have sometimes childlike attitudes. They act like a 6-year-old or something because they demand respect, or they're very angry about this thing or that thing. But this is a quality of devotee. In the Vishnu Purana, this is the opening discussion about the importance of forgiveness, which is a quality of the megha, the quality of the cloud. In Parasara Muni, he's telling Maitreya, in the first chapter, in the first canto of the Vishnu Purana, he says, this reminds me of this story which is spoken to me by my grandfather, Vishishta Muni. And he goes on telling him this long story that Vishishta Muni had told him. And that on one occasion he heard that his father had been eaten alive by a Rakshasa employed by Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra is supposed to be a saintly king. And he's acting very, very... We become angry especially when it's a leader, a president of the United States or the GBC or some leading person does some bad thing. In this case, he did a very bad thing. The leader kind of sort of ate my father. He became a Rakshasa, and he ate my father. And so he decided, I'm going to destroy all the Rakshasas. And he started doing this great Soma Yajna, and hundreds of Rakshasas were burned to ashes in that fire. And then at that time, my grandfather, Vishishta Muni, came and spoke to me, and he said to me, Alam atyanta kopena tata manyum imam jahi rakshasa naparadante pitus te vihitam hitat. Stop with this anger. The Rakshasas, they're not at fault, because your father's death was ordained by destiny. And this is the vision of a devotee. If someone insults me, if someone doesn't give me proper respect, this is Krishna's arrangement. And this is what we learn, in this case with Indra and the Brijbasis. Krishna desired that the Brijbasis not give that respect to Indra, because he wanted to see Indra's pride crushed. Mudhanam esha bhavati krodho Gyanavatam kuta manyate tata kakena yata swakrita bhukpaman. He says, Mudanam esha bhavati krodha. Persons who are angry, so they're fools. There's no reason to be angry with them. Why should anyone be angry with anyone else? Krishna's in charge of things. Radhagolokananda are in charge of things. And he tells them that saschit tasyapi mahato vatsa kleshena manavai yashasas tapasas chaiva krodo nasa padaha. That if you fall prey to this anger, which Indra's done, this anger, kleshena manavai, it'll destroy all your good qualities that a man has, yasasas, tapasas, chaiva, all your position, your fame. And this is what's going to happen with Indra. Everyone's going to disrespect him now. He's supposed to be the most senior person in the universe, taking care of everything. But instead of taking care of the devotees, he's demanding respect. He's become very, very angry. And if we do like that, we lose our honor, we lose our austerity. Therefore, he says that devotees always keep away from anger. And they don't allow themselves to be controlled by it. In the Bhagavad-dipika commentary on this verse of Vishnu Purana, Sridhar Swami says, Yasasas tapasor nasakatvad eva svarga pavargayo svarga mokshayo vyasadhe pratibandhaha. that this anger is something which will destroy. It's a hindrance. It'll keep us from making advancement, from going to the heavenly planets, from getting liberation, because it destroys honor and austerities. Tasyātma-mūrtayaḥ kopa, because anger is its cause. Heta tata vaso mabhava. So he's telling, he said, my dear son, don't be controlled by this anger. Such a very, very important principle. And he says, Kshama Sada hi sadhava. This is the most important quality of a saintly person, is mercy. Indra is supposed to be a saintly person. His function is to give rain. That rain should be clean, that rain will be nourishing, and that rain should be freely given to everyone. This is a quality of a saintly person. So then hearing that, he said, I stopped the sacrifice. I stopped killing all the yakshas, all the rakshasas. And at that time, Vasishtha was pleased with me. And then Pulasya Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, arrived there. And Pulasya Muni spoke to me. He says, because in great anger you took shelter and forgiveness, although you were really, excuse my American English, but you were really pissed off. You were really, really, this guy, these Rakshasas, ate your father alive. That's a really bad thing. He ate your father, but in spite of that anger, which is righteous anger, you took shelter of forgiveness because you followed the words of your guru, and therefore, he says that Bhavas Chachani, the bhagavān, Shastrani, you'll be famous. And in the Bhagavatam commentary, Sridhar Swami says, Yet yasmat saguru vakyakshama ashrita. He says, because you took shelter of forgiveness by following the instructions of your guru. This is Srila Prabhupada's instruction to us. He told my Guru Maharaj in Bhubaneswar in 1977, when he visited, Prabhupada told him, you tolerate, 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 cooperate. And he pointed to the devotees outside the hut. Guru Maharaj was alone with him in the hut. And Prabhupada told him, they all have problems. And they're not going to stay here. And if you look at the history after that, many of them gave up their sannyas. They had problems with different things. But Guru Maharaj stayed there. Prabhupada told him, you tolerate, 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 cooperate. We do this on behalf of Gurudev. It doesn't belong to me. I'm doing this on behalf of Guru. And then parjanyo, Pulasya Muni told them that because you controlled your anger and you were forgiving, then I'm going to make you the author of the Puranas. And so he became the author of the Vishnu Purana. So what is a real enemy? Indra is thinking these Brijbasis are my enemies. But there's a beautiful statement found in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. Tam durjayam shatram asaya vegam aruntudam tanna vijitchikechit krivanja sadvigraham attamachar mitranudasina vipum vimudha. It's nice to memorize verses. And one way to do that, we put them on the wall. So this verse is right on the wall in our prasadam hall, right near the sink. Whenever I wash plates, I look at that so I can remember the room. I remember washing the plates, and this verse comes to my mind. Tam durjayam shatram asaya vegam. A real enemy is this asaya vegam, this irrepressible urge, very difficult urge, durjayam, very difficult to conquer, this urge of the mind, which tries to tell us that mitranu dasina vipun vimudha. This person is my friend, this person is my enemy, this is someone indifferent to me. That's all in the mind. And it means we're not following the order of Gurudev. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Chaitanya Siksamrita, he says that to be controlled by prejudice causes many problems. From prejudice arises partiality. From partiality comes disrespect for truth. So if we have some prejudice, I like this person, I don't like this other person, we become partial. And from that partiality comes disrespect for the truth. But the nature of a devotee In Chaitanya Bhagavat, Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes these verses. This is a characteristic of a devotee, agidosha kshama kori, that he's able to forgive the offense of any rascal. Indra couldn't forgive. You disrespected me, you didn't give me the proper worship that you should have done. And so Mahaprabhu told Keshava Kashmiri, Prabhu Boli, viprasabadhanta parihari, give up all your pride and serve Krishna. How do you serve Krishna? Sarva bhute doya kori, by being like a rain cloud, by showering down mercy to everyone. Uttama adama kichina bachina, disregarding who's qualified and who's not qualified. Kaviraj Goswami says of himself, Jari hoya raga dvesh, tahanoi avesh, sahaja vastu najai likana. He says that if I become involved in somebody's likes and dislikes, because Dharmata Prabhu likes this person, then I like them, or Dharmata doesn't like this other person, I'm on his side, so I don't like that person. Then he says, I can't write Sahaja Vastu Najai Lakana. I can't write transcendental literature. I can't be a devotee. I can't be like the rain cloud, which is going to give mercy freely to everyone. So in the Bhagavatam, it said, Danda Nyasa Padam Dhanam, that the greatest charity that you can give is to give up aggression to other people. There's a story, I don't know how historical this is, but I heard it a number of times, so I'm going to repeat it, that Alexandra, the so-called great, when he was leaving his native place, his family and friends, they asked him, you're going to India, so you should bring back one Indian yogi. We've heard that there are very powerful sadhus there. You please bring us back some Indian yogi. So when he went to India then, he heard that there's some great sadhu staying in the forest. So he went there and he found this sadhu sitting under a tree, meditating. And so Alexander was standing there by him, waiting, until finally the sadhu opened his eyes, and then Alexander folded his hands and said, please come with me to Greece. I'll give you everything you need, but please come out. We'll give you all kinds of food and nice clothing and nice place to stay. And the yogi, that sadhu, said, no, I'm happy. I don't need anything. I'm happy where I'm at. And for the first time in his life, Alexander the Great had someone refuse him. No one had ever refused him before. And he became furious. And he took his sword out. He said, you know who's talking to you? It's me, Alexander the Great. If you don't listen to me, you don't accept my benediction, I'm going to kill you, I'll cut you to pieces. And the sadhu just shrugged. And he said, you can't kill me. You can only kill my body. My body's just a dress that I'm wearing. I'm not the body. I'm not the deha, I'm the dehi. I'm the person dwelling inside. And that sadhu said, you say that you're a king. Do you mind me telling you who you really are? Nobody ever spoke to Alexander like this before. He said, well, okay, who am I? And the sadhu said, actually, you're not the king, you're a slave. And not only you're a slave of my slave. How is that? And then, with great compassion, that sadhu told him, I've mastered anger. Anger's my slave. But you give way to anger so easily, so you're a slave of anger, so you're a slave of my slave. And what is your real position? Prabhupada was once asked by the devotees, who was the devotee's greatest enemy? This is a morning walk in Paris in 1974. What is a devotee's greatest enemy? And Prabhupada said, he himself. Because he's a rascal, he's his greatest enemy. So just get out of this rascaldom and you become your friend. Nobody is your enemy. You yourself are your enemy. Nobody is your enemy. There's a cartoon strip in America called Pogo, which I doubt any of you have seen. I hope you haven't. But there was a strip, I like cartoons when I was growing up. There was a whole series of, Pogo is an animal in the forest called a possum. I don't think you know what a possum is either. That's also not important. But at some point in the storyline, they were going to war. And there was a great war. We're at war now. But they never saw the enemy. And then finally, after so many strips, the conclusion was given by a famous line. Pogo said, we've met the enemy. And he's us. We finally found out, in the end, there was no enemy. It was just all in their mind. They were just imagining something. So the nature of devotees is that they tolerate. Nanda Mahārāja, he when he joined in Boston, there was one temple president he had who was very harsh with him and used to abuse him. And Nanda Mahārāja memorized this verse from the 18th chapter, the first canto. Tiraskrita vipralabdha saptakshipta hata pi nashyata pratikurivanti tad bhakta prabhavopihi. Prabhava means the power. This is the power of the bhakta. That the devotee, even tiraskrita, even so someone criticizes them, vipralabdha, they're cheated out of their money. Someone takes their sweets. That's bad cheating. Sapta, they curse you. You nonsense rascal, I hate you, you're this and that. And even they curse them. Shipta, they neglect them. Hata, they try to kill them. But nashyata pratikurivanti, the devotee tolerates all that. And they don't try to avenge themselves. This is the quality of a devotee. In Jīvanaṁ, chapter 22, the question comes, what is forgiveness? And Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes that forgiveness is when there's ample reason to become agitated and angry, but you don't become agitated and angry. That's forgiveness. And tolerance, he says, is a synonym for forgiveness. So Indra is supposed to be the representative of Krishna. He's supposed to give this rain. He's supposed to, his business is to help nourish everyone. And that should be freely given everywhere. But Indra is holding that back, thinking that I'm in control of this. I'm the doer of things. Prakriti kriyamanani. He's thinking that I'm the ahankara vimudhatma kartahamati manyate, thinking that I'm the doer of things. But it's Krishna who's the doer. I want to thank everybody very much for being so kind to us here in Golokadam. And leaving all of you, I'd like to recite 3 verses which were spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he left Navadvip. These are his final instructions. And they're also very relevant for the discussion that we're having today in front of us about Indra. So this is from Lochandas Thakur's Chaitanya Mangal. This is in the 38th song of the Madhya Lila. I'll sing as you can chant Hare Krishna. You could paraphrase from the Bhagavatam. Tomara takibe. He said, first of all, he addresses him as Tomar. He didn't address him as Apnar, big persons, or Tua, like a child. like someone less than him. But Tomar, you're my friends. Tomar is how you address a friend. Mahaprabhu told him, Tomar takibe. Just stay where you're at. And these are principles of community. These are principles which Indra doesn't understand, but Nanda Mahārāja does. Agya koribe palan. You take my agya, my order, my instruction, and koribe palan, you maintain it. And what is that instruction? Nirantara diba nishi koribe kirtan. Do kirtan. Day and night. Constantly do kirtan. Nirantara. Because if you do that, if you're doing kirtan like that, then you'll be able to give respect to everyone by the strength of the kirtan. It's not that the kirtan depends on the other, but they're in a circular way. The kirtan, Krishna is independent, is swarat. But it helps if we're a manina manadena, but the holy name is not dependent on us even being a manina manadena. And Sanatana Goswami elaborates more on this in Brihad Bhagavatam, that when someone becomes more, these qualities naturally come to them. So then he goes on. Every word, every syllable has so many meanings. So from a poetic consideration, it seems like this is redundant. He already made the comment. The first verse he said, Koribe kirtan, do kirtan. And now in this verse he's saying, Harinam, you should do kirtan. But there's another quality of it. The first line is saying that Koribe palan, you should maintain my order. So this is how to do that. Harinama bhakta seva koribe stapana e dharma. You're going to stapana e dharma. You'll establish my mission by Harinama bhakta seva. Harinama is not alone, but you also have to serve the devotees. And this is Mahaprabhu's instruction to the residents of Navadvip. Stay here, tomara takibe, nirantara diba nishi koribe, do kirtan day and night. And that kirtan, Harinama Bhakta Seva. You should chant the holy name and serve the devotees. This is how you'll establish my dharma. And you may say, well, who is this for? And Mahaprabhu says, Jena Tadi Sarvajan. This instruction I give to everyone at all times. Anyone who wants to maintain my movement, who wants to establish my movement, who wants to establish Vrindavan villages, which is the purpose of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada. We have to establish this dharma, Harinama Bhakta Seva. But he says, but one thing. First two things are positive injunctions. Now it's a negative injunction. Nimatsara antara hoibi sarvajan. Don't have any envy in your heart for each other. Mahaprabhu was telling him, you establish my movement, and your movement is all of you. This is what Indra doesn't understand. He's trying to make a difference between himself and the Brijbasis. He's demanding respect. He's offended because they don't give him respect. But Krishna is coming. Krishna is so attached to Vrindavan. The glory of Vrindavan is not because Krishna is there. Sanatana Goswami says this in Brihad Bhagavatam. It's because the Brijbasis are there. And Krishna wants to come and give that Vrindavan. He wants to come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Estapana e Dharma, establish this Dharma by Harinama Bhakta Seva, chanting the holy name, serving the devotees, but Nimatsara Antara Hoibe. In your heart, don't have any envy. Don't be like Indra, who's parjanyo. Be like the other parjanyo, the father of Nanda Mahārāja. And Hoibe Sarvajan, with everybody, Sabe Sabakara Mana Kora Aradhana. With all your hearts, he says you should worship and serve each other. This is Vrindavan. And this is what Indra's not doing. And this is the function of the rain clouds. So this verse in Purport are speaking about these three qualities, directly and indirectly, these three qualities of the rain cloud, that the clouds are the representatives of the Lord. They directly provide rainwater, which gives happiness and sustenance to all creatures. This is Indra's business, to give this rain. And this qualities of this rainfall, poshakatva, sudatva, and datritva. It should be nourishing, it has to be pure, and it should be freely given to everyone. Samsara dhavanalali loka, tranaya karuna guna ganatva. The devotees are like the guna, the clouds. They're doing it. So this is some purport from this section of the Bhagavatam. I'm sorry, it's my little madness. I was reading this and thinking, what can we say about these two sentences in the purport? And a few thoughts came to my mind, little crazy thoughts. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. And maybe some devotees have reflections, comments, corrections. I'm happy to be corrected. Chandrika, do you have any corrections? Any comments or anything? Yes? No? Why don't you come here a second? Let's see. Oh, this is a good one.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Wow, all right. Jesus, who wants all of them? Speak real loud, my hearing's not good.
How practically to control anger or some feelings of anger, or I don't know how in English to speak, if somebody, for example, if
accuses. If someone accuses
you for somebody you didn't do, or just speak angry to you without reason, and so what practically to control anger and incite that feelings what arises in the heart.
Śrīla Bhakti Saraswati, we were just reading that purport for the 11th canto. We're saying that neophytes on the path of renunciation, on the path of devotion, they're faced with many tests. In the form of their past karma coming to them, in the form of criticism, harsh words from someone else. And he said if they get angry in response to that, then they'll fall down and they'll lose the good qualities that they have. So we should remember and contemplate on the mood of Srivas Thakur, who's the ideal devotee, he's Narada avatar. And when some envious person puts some meat on his doorstep and some wine, some objects to worship Goddess Bhavani, he came out in the morning and nobody had seen it yet. And he could have cleaned it up or called for the sweeperman to clean it up right away before anyone came. But instead of that, he called for everybody in the community. Hey, look, everybody come and see what I'm doing every night. Now, someone may say, well, that's pretty much false humility. What's the necessity? He doesn't have to advertise that he's actually doing it. Why does he do that? I would suggest that Srivas Thakur said like that because he didn't want to hurt the heart of the person who was criticizing him. The person was, yes, they're right, they're correct. Everybody come and see. He wanted to make him happy. You want to take away my prestige in front of everybody, so here it is. This is what's going on. And he didn't try to hide that. That's not an easy thing to do. So there's we can do something in a realized way. But if we always depend on realization, Prabhu, if we just say, Prabhu, I'm just being honest, I'm being natural, then maybe we'll say that the natural thing is, I'm going to punch you in the nose, because that's what I feel like doing. I'm just being honest, Prabhu, so boom, I punch him in the nose. But we have to do some austerities. And we have to philosophically understand What is the purity that's required? What is the purity that's expected of a devotee? What kind of purity did Maharaj, what kind of purity did Srivas Thakur have that he didn't argue against those things? And immediately all the villagers, they saw, oh my God, who did this? And they didn't criticize Srivas Thakur. And if they would have, he would have accepted that. Haridas Thakur went to prison for something he wasn't guilty of, he wasn't bad, but he just accepted, this is the Lord's arrangement for me, it's very good here. My Guru Maharaj was in Bhubaneswar, and there was one devotee, Shrutidhar was his name, he was a student. And Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada told him to go to Bhubaneswar and preach. He had nothing, he had no money. Prabhupada wouldn't even give him books, you know, for selling. So they made little pamphlets with the Hare Krishna mantra on it and asked for donations and things to help the project. And this student he met started riding him around in the back of his bicycle. And meanwhile, Chavi Kanungo, who was the niece of the former chief minister of Orissa, donated some property, which is now our Bhubaneswar temple. And Prabhupada contacted our Guru Maharaj, said, so you should go and stay there. So he went there. The rickshaws wouldn't take him there because there were gundas, there were criminals out there. It was a dangerous place and there's wild animals. To this day, there's an elephant preserve just a few kilometers north of that. There was wild elephants there, all kinds of crazy things. People wouldn't go there. But he went there and there was no place to stay. They were building National Highway number 5. And the road workers were staying there, they had a tent. And so our Guru Maharaj went to the road workers and said, can I stay in the tent with you? And they said, sure. And Shrutidhar, the student, when he saw, oh my God, here's this Vaishnava sannyasi staying in a tent with the road workers who, they're not vegetarian. They use bad language, they drink and smoke. And he's staying with these guys. And he said, oh my God, sir, he used to call our Guru Maharaj sir. Later he became initiated as śrī-nanda Prabhu, our God brother. He said, sir, how can you stay with these road workers like this? And the Guru Maharaj said, no, this is very good. This is what my Guru Maharaj sent me. And so we should always have that kind of attitude and look and see, what has Gurudev sent me? He's given me this order. And maybe he sends someone to chastise me or to take away my prestige. Indra has this order from the Lord. And then Krishna sees Indra's becoming proud, so he tells Nanda Mahārāja and the Brijbasis, don't worship this fellow. And Indra can't tolerate it. He becomes so angry by that. So as devotees, we have to tolerate, cooperate. Otherwise, how can we push on this movement together? Doesn't mean that we have to love each other and we have to get along with each other, but we may have to keep some distance, but we need to cooperate. Otherwise, how can this movement go on? Is that helpful? Okay. Anything from anybody else? Prabhuji?
I think I already got an answer, which is it's somewhat similar question, but you spoke about tolerance. So a few reflections and then a question. So if you have a loving relationship with someone, or if you are very mature, or you are in a distance from someone, it's easy. For example, for me, if, let's say, Vaikuntanath, Julius, Rasivalas, Mukunda, even if they do something, I wouldn't consider that as it would easily go in a second, in a fraction of a second. If you have a loving relationship, then this toleration becomes obvious, natural. Or if you are very mature, you can tolerate. Or if someone is in a distance, it's easy. But what if you are not, if you don't have a loving relationship, if you are not mature, and if you are not in a distance, then what happens? Then the feeling of grievance, I'm not saying about anger or some envy, a grievance, it's just a feeling like a hurting feeling comes in. How to deal with that feeling of grievance?
Chandrika, you understand my English? Something? Do you ever do anything wrong and it makes your father angry? This isn't one to answer that question. I suspect the answer is yes. Sometimes, but your father has to tolerate you. And he does it because he loves you. And so similarly with devotees, we should love devotees. Not because I like the way they comb their hair, or not necessarily because I like their mood about everything, but because they're devotees. They're chanting the holy name. They're so very, very special. And I should love them for that. Maybe I don't get along with the way they comb their hair. Or this, and so I keep a little distance from that, from my own sin. But I should have a genuine love and affection for them. And therefore Mahaprabhu says, Harinama Bhakta Seva, Korebe Stapana E Dharma. That you establish my movement by Harinama Bhakta Seva, by serving the devotees. How do I serve the devotees when there's some pain in my heart? Something hurts in my heart. When something's hurting in my heart, first of all, that's my problem. It's not their problem. If Julius has done something and I feel really angry with him about, it's not his problem. It's my problem. It's my problem because it's my heart that's suffering. So what can I do to solve that problem? Harinama Bhakta Seva. We can do kirtan together. I can appreciate him. I can do Bhakta Seva based on Harinam. How am I supposed to go and serve this person? Give them some cake or something? I don't. They're nonsense. They offended me, this and that. But Harinama Bhakta Seva. When I see they're chanting the holy name, that's such a wonderful thing. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta. And I should respect anybody who's chanting the holy name. Dikshasti chet panati bishya vajantamisham. And someone who's worshiping the deity, wow, I should offer obeisances to them. Not because I love that person necessarily, or I agree with that person, but because I appreciate the holy name. I appreciate the fact that they're worshiping the deity. That's just so amazing, so wonderful. So in that sense, I can do Bhakta Seva. I can support their services, their chanting. And I can worship them. I can give them some prasadam or something to help nourish their body so they can do that service. Is that helpful? Is that makes some sense? Okay. Anybody else with anything?
Yes, but I'm not sure if this is a very important question, but I'm thinking about this analogy with rain clouds, and with mercy of devotees of Gurma. And when I'm thinking about rain clouds, I see them as something material, and depending on, or pouring the water depending on someone's karma. And while speaking about mercy of Guru, there is no karma. I mean, there is nothing to stop this mercy. And I just don't know if this analogy is. It's not that I'm searching for faults in this analogy, but is it like because sometimes there's analogies with you cannot like show completely express the thing of spiritual things with material analogs. So is it only that, or there is something about the rain clouds I don't understand?
In Jīvanaṁ, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains this verse in the 11th canto, which speaks about the nature of a madhyamadikari and how they have different dealings. And he says, first of all, that we practice upeksha, neglect, of those persons who are dvisatsu, who are envious. But dvisatsu means they have this bad quality. And as Prabhupada said, we're just reading, we hate the sin and not the sinner. So they neglect the sin. They overlook that. You overlook that with Chandrika. Because you love her, you want to take care of her. And any faults and problems that you see in her, you overlook that with her. That quality, that kind of behavior a parent naturally has toward a child, we should also have for others. If we don't have that, we go out in Sankirtan or something, did you vote for such and such person? Do you like Trump, or do you like Putin, or do you this? And then I'm not going to give you mercy. I'm not going to be forgiving to you. And then there's some fault in that. So the quality of the devotee's mercy is just freely to everyone. But Bali Seshu, the Bhagavatam says that when someone has the quality of a child, you may give more mercy to Chandrika because Chandrika is very simple. But then you see someone else who's 25 or 30 or 40 years old who's not very simple, then you can't give so much mercy. And Bhaktivinoda explains that to the degree that of their simplicity, we give them mercy. They're very, very simple, like the simplest child. Then we give them so much mercy. We give them whatever we can. But if there's only a little, there's some duplicitousness there, then we're not inspired by that, and we don't give them as much mercy. And as far as the principle of neglect, for those persons who do satsu, we practice upeksha, and Bhaktivinoda explains that. He says it doesn't mean you don't talk to them. He said it doesn't mean you don't give them prasadam. He says, or during the winter time when they're cold and they have no place to stay, maybe you give them a house, you give them a blanket or something. So then what does it mean to neglect them? Bhaktivinoda says a strong thing. He says it means don't share Krishna Katha with them. If they're that envious. And of course, again, it depends on the degree of their enviousness. Because parasparana kathanam pavanam bhagavān rata mitas tushanivrita mita atmana, Bhagavatam 11.330, we should learn how to associate with devotees by hearing Krishna Katha together. And when it's paraspara means like what we're doing now, this back and forth discussion, then that establishes our friendship amongst the devotees. Hari lila sato chara parisha satatam tvaya kaya pritistavahir yata bhakti nanashyati. If we want to protect our bhakti, both as individuals and as a community, we love devotees not because of the way they comb their hair or shave their face or the way they dress, but we love devotees because they're doing Krishna Katha, they're doing kirtan. And that's in the Lord's instruction. You must love these persons. Harinama Bhakta Seva. This is Kori Bestapana Eidharma. This is how you establish my movement. This is the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if we're not respecting devotees in that way, then we're not establishing Mahaprabhu's movement. We have some kind of strange religious idea where we dress like in a certain way like they do in India and we chant Hare Krishna or something, but it's not really Mahaprabhu's movement unless we're doing that thing.
So you can do many things like maybe even preaching, do a lot of programs, but if there is no respect for devotees at the same time, so it's worthless.
Then maybe you have to go somewhere else. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us that we should go to those places where they want to hear us. That's why we came here. The devotees in some places, maybe they don't want to hear us. Please don't come. That's fine. That's Krishna's arrangement. So, and if somebody wants to hear from me, they're very, very simple and sweet, then we share things with them. They're Bali Seshu. But if they're envious, dvisatsu to some extent, then less, or maybe not at all. We have to do that. But that dvisatsu, that upeksha, that quality of neglect, doesn't mean that we hate the person. When we start hating the person, we become dvisatsu. We start going, and then what comes after that, according to Lord Kapila in the third canto of the Bhagavatam, we were speaking the other day, comes ninda. That's the final thing. First of all, avagya, we look down on someone. I don't like the way they do things. They're not a nice person to me. They're this and that and the other. And so then upeksha, we neglect them. But then from that upeksha comes some enviousness, some anger toward them, and which results in ninda. And that ninda, hoya sarvanas, everything is destroyed, both personally and collectively. Is that helpful? It's something we can speak a lot, but it's something that really needs to be lived. You can tell Chandrika all kinds of things about, you should be loving, you should be tolerant, this and that, and she just, look, I want to go play, Dad, leave me alone. But when you show in your life how loving and how tolerant you are to her, even though she breaks something, even though she does some bad thing, but you still love her and tolerate her, that goes very deep in the heart. As Francis of Assisi, a famous saint, Christian saint, once told his followers, you should preach, and if necessary, use words. It's important. That's parenting. Okay? All right, so thank you all very much. I'm sorry if we've made any offenses or disturbed anybody. We've been sick back of the whole time we've been here. I haven't been coming to programs and doing kirtan with the devotees. And we missed the Julian Yatra last night, and I wasn't even realizing, nobody said anything, and I feel so bad. But please forgive us if we've done anything wrong. And thank you all so much for being so kind to Krishna Kunda. Chandrika's been very nice too. I saw she's serving out prasadam to everyone. Chandrika's very good. Okay? Gruntada Srimad Bhagavatam ke, Shri Radha Golokananda Ju ke, Srila Prabhupada ke, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ke, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bom.